for the starting APNIC member meeting, but I don't think all people have already been here. Then let us have more several minutes, and I will start the AMM at the 9:10, 10 minutes past 9. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all, and welcome to the fifth day of APNIC 38 conference here in Brisbane. This is the APNIC member meeting and is chaired by the APNIC Executive Council, Maimura Akinori. In this session, you'll hear the reports from the APNIC Executive Council, Secretariat, various sessions during the week, this week, that held in different rooms, and also reports or updates from the community as well. So before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the sponsors of AMM, JPNIC, CNISP, CNIC, ICANN, and TWNIC. Thank you very much for your sponsorship for this APNIC member meeting. A couple of housekeeping notes. The morning tea and afternoon tea will be in the foyer area, just outside this room as usual, but the lunch is changed. The lunch will be in the next door room, in the Lincoln room, and not downstairs. So please don't go downstairs, it's next room here, just on the same level. Also, we have a closing dinner tonight at Victoria Park, and it's a limited capacity venue. So if you have a closing dinner ticket in your badge, please attend the closing dinner. Transportation is provided. The first bus will leave at 5:30 p.m. from the lobby here, and the last one will leave at 6 p.m. And the first bus will depart from the venue back to the hotel at 9 p.m. So take opportunity to attend the dinner if you have a ticket. And now I'll pass the microphone to the APNIC Executive Council, Maimura Akinori, to chair the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sunny. Good morning, everyone. My name is Maimura Akinori, Chair of the APNIC Executive Council. APNIC EC Chair is tasked to chair the APNIC member meeting. Then APNIC member meeting is for the membership to observe what the APNIC Secretariat is doing and how the various meetings throughout this week went, and then sometimes you need to decide something by the voting. So the APNIC member meeting is the membership's work, the place for the work of the other members. Then let's get down our job here. Okay, then I don't repeat what Sunny kindly said. We have a lot of things to do. First session is the Secretariat reports, and I'd like to pass the floor to our Director General, Paul Wilson. Thank you.
Thanks, Akinori. Thanks, everyone, for being here. First thing on a Friday morning after a long week. I really appreciate that all of you here in the room have spent so much of your own time and resources to be here and to participate in the meeting. I'm quite happy with the way the week has gone, I think, and I hope you are too. I hope you can see that the Secretariat staff are putting a lot of effort these days into continually improving the meeting and trying to make your experience here more valuable to you and to your organisations. That said, I hope you know that we're always open to your feedback, requests, ideas, and so on. And so please, if you have any suggestions, if you have any criticisms, constructive or frustrated, then please do just feel free to let us know. The meeting is here, the whole event is here for APNIC members, and the whole event is funded out of the contributions that you make to APNIC, and it's as much your meeting as it is an effort of the Secretariat staff. We'll have the opportunity for comments through open microphone sessions during the day. So again, please feel completely free to share your thoughts and ideas. Okay, I am here to give an update on the activities of the APNIC Secretariat over the past 6 months. since the last meeting. Some of the data here that I'll give you actually is sort of dated for the current year to date, so you'll find some of the results and information here really applies to the whole of 2014 to date, but in other cases we're really just not repeating what you've heard at the last meeting, but what's happened over just over the last 6 months. I think you've seen this before, but we try and structure the activities of the Secretariat in 3 groups these days, where we are primarily oriented to serving the membership. As I said, the organisation is yours, the funds that support the organisation are yours, they come from the membership, and APNIC is a service organisation. So first up, we are dedicated to service of the members, and that's why this is first on the list. But we are also asked, both in our original founding documents, and I think by the feedback we received from APNIC surveys and from the community, we're also dedicated to supporting the growth of the internet in the Asia Pacific region. So we've got a few updates in that category. And also to do our work, we collaborate as widely as possible. That helps us to do our work, it helps APNIC to achieve more, it helps us with sort of efficiency in many of the things that we do, to be working together with partners in the region and also outside the region on the work we do. So they're the 3 different separate topics that I'll be talking about here. Firstly, on the service side, we've got a few charts here from the registry showing the activities firstly in IPv6 delegations, and as you can see we're on a sort of a linear climb there with IPv6. People sometimes ask us why it isn't growing faster. The point is that we've made over 3,000 delegations of IPv6 in the region, and that covers the vast majority of our membership. And so as you know, most people have got, once they receive one allocation, that represents plenty of IPv6, and they're not necessarily coming back for more yet. But we split these delegation figures up into allocations and assignments. The size of the allocations, and you can see that /32 is the majority, and one-click allocations of the default size versus regular requests. IPv4. Now this is interesting. We have accelerated from the beginning of the year, making around 120 or so allocations per month, up to about 800 allocations a month. Now that started with the receipt of the second block of recovered address space from the IANA, which happened in May this year. And for some reason, maybe our communications was better around the receipt of that address space, but for some reason, not only did we start making allocations from that block, but we started increasing allocations from the 103/8 pools. So we're really very busy with that at the moment. And that rate of allocations has brought down the projected date of exhaustion of that space to much less than it used to be. It used to appear to be enough address space to last for another 15 years. It's something more like 5 at the moment. IPv4 transfers, not quite as predictable. The transfer rates are still rather low and they go up and down. So anything from 10 to 20 transfers a month, and something like 20% of those are inter-RIR transfers. And as you probably know, those inter-RIR transfers are all coming from the ARAN region to APNIC. ASN assignments, we've got a pretty good record in this region of allocating and using 4-byte AS numbers, which is very nice. In some other parts of the world, they seem to be consuming not so many 4-byte numbers and not quite ready to use them. But in our case, they're being used more often than 2-byte numbers. And we do allow people to return a 4-byte number if they don't find that they can actually use it, but really very few of the numbers are returned. APNIC membership is growing steadily. It's even accelerating, which is not what we expected a few years ago. But with the availability of the last /8 allocations, we do have quite a steady flow of new small members coming in to receive that address space because they're not receiving address space from their upstream ISPs in the way that they used to. And you can see the same thing in what we call the sub-accounts, which exist within the NIRs. They're actually accelerating more rapidly in some respects due to the success of NICSI, of IRIN as the Indian registry. But you can see here that in addition to what nearly 4,500 APNIC members, we're serving some 3,200 sub-accounts of the NIRs. Okay, also moving on from the stats and into other aspects of the registry and other services. WHOIS, of course, is the database that you all know and love. We are continuing to work with RIPE NCC on various WHOIS developments, and we had a couple to announce this in this last period, including the geolocation attributes, for instance. We're also working with APNIC, who are also using WHOIS, and we received some visits from RIPE NCC and APNIC staff over the course of this year towards better and ongoing development of WHOIS. Excuse me. We are serving 175 queries a second from the WHOIS database. An interesting spike there came, I think, from ChinaNet at one point during the year, around March. But in general, you can see the rate is fairly static, growing slowly from 150 in last year to 175 this year. That is queries per second on average. And we've had reasonably good success finally growing over the years with the creation of and maintenance of IRT objects for incident response teams, 87% of members. We have a few improvements to the interfaces that are accessible through MyAPNIC, so the WHOIS templates have been improved. MyAPNIC improvements also are ongoing. So MyAPNIC is the way our members get access to APNIC services primarily. And of course, as I said before, we're always very interested in your feedback. So I hope MyAPNIC is serving you well, and if you have any requests or ideas, then you'll come to us with them. The infrastructure within APNIC that supports our services, we've been Byron's team has been going through an extended migration of all of our different servers and services onto VMware virtualization and configuration management and so on. And they've also been developing the low-level APIs that will allow you to get access to APNIC stats in different forms and much more flexibly in future. A word that we're hearing a lot lately is accountability, and that refers to the visibility and accessibility of the organisation to our stakeholders, that's primarily the members, and your ability to see what we do for you, to communicate with us, to raise and escalate issues or problems that you have, and so on. So it's really important for APNIC as a non-profit regional organisation with this sole responsibility. It's very important that we're accountable and transparent, and we do try to go on improving those aspects. So one of the issues on service quality, or one of the accountability mechanisms on service quality, is the ISO 9001 process that was implemented last year. We were certified last year, and we passed our first annual audit this year. So that was good news. We have been working on improved internal financial audit processes. Irene Chan, who is one of the longest standing and very valuable APNIC staff members, is now in a position of financial controller at APNIC and applying her copious wealth and experience to making sure that our systems are properly running and regularly checked, and the audit process is all about that. You would know we have an annual external audit, and we have just again rotated the auditors. That's standard financial practice to pick a new auditor every now and then. We're working with the other RIRs also to make sure that our accountability is comparable with the other RIRs. We've published a matrix, a sort of comparative matrix of all the accountability aspects of our organisations, and that's something that's accessible on the NRO website. And APNIC itself has got a pretty comprehensive transparency web page which gives you access to all of the different aspects of our transparency, including the EC election processes, the minutes, the policies, the internal procedures, reporting, accounting, and so on. But if you're interested in having a look inside APNIC at how things are going, then you'll find all of that information on that accountability transparency webpage. I'll move right along to the broader activities of supporting internet development in the region. Training is something we've been doing ever since the beginning, and our recent member survey showed that training is still one of the most valuable and valued things that we do. So we have this year trained in some form or other 1,826 networking professionals. That seems to me to be a pretty good number for the year to date so far, and we've done that with 20 classroom and 24 online courses. We've also been delivering videos through our video archive and have an impressive number of hits on the video archive, as you can see there. Also featuring high on the survey, the latest survey, is our support for the growth and development of network operator groups around the region. And there's actually been quite a proliferation of NOGs at the national level around the region in the last couple of years, and you can see it's a pretty good list these days. So APNIC is trying to support these groups with, in some cases, small sponsorships, with training, with advice, with presence at meetings and so on. And so if anyone is interested in any of these NOGs, or indeed in forming a new one in your country, then we are very eager to help if we can. Community development, that's a sort of broader banner for a number of different activities. Fellowships, we have supported 33 fellowship grants for this meeting and Apricot 2014. We've got a new youth fellowship program, and a couple of fellows came to us this time under that. We're also providing concrete engineering assistance, sort of consultancy on a cost recovery basis for network engineering issues and challenges. And we've got problems in a few countries: Bhutan, Laos, Tuvalu and Vanuatu. And we're continuing root server deployment. So recently there was an MOU signed with ICANN for us to work with them on deploying LRoot. And as you probably recall, we're working and have done over the years on deployment of F and I and K around the Asia-Pacific region. Policy development, you may have seen this chart before. It illustrates how the policy development cycle goes from the need for a policy to the proposal and discussion to the endorsement and approval through to implementation and so on. The consensus process is something that is always the subject of questions and interest, because it's a decision that the policy SIG chair needs to make about any particular policy decision. And so I think you probably all saw this in action the other day, and we may be using it again later on today, but the confer tool is the one that allows us to actually gauge the sense of the room. This is something that a chair of the policy SIG can use to help to sort of gauge the opinions in the room on the question at hand. We've implemented 3 policies this year, changes to the AS number policies allowing transfers of AS numbers. We've implemented the transfer of a couple of prefixes over to APNIC Labs for research. And as I mentioned earlier, in May we started distributing the returned IPv4 address blocks, and had that really impressive increase in activity after that was done. In addition to the 2 major meetings per year, we've got what we call regional meetings, and we had 2 of those this year in the Philippines and in Bangladesh. They were both in conjunction with NOG meetings in those countries. We're trying to improve the online services for remote participants at APNIC and APRICOT meetings, and that's where the Confer tool can also help to allow people who are accessing remotely to participate more formally in the discussions. This week you may not have noticed it, but we've been trialling remote stenography from not a far way away, just from the APNIC office. So one of the very talented stenographers that we have recording this event, as you see on the right here, is actually working not here in the room but in the APNIC office, and the idea of that is to hopefully allow us to save costs in future by having stenography done from back in home base rather than from the meeting room itself. IPv6 is also still a very high priority for members and the community. We had 14 different industry events this year where we presented. Miwa Fuji, of course, leads our charge on IPv6, but that's going to continue increasing because we continue to hear that V6 is something that members in the community would like assistance with. Security outreach, you may have met Adli Wahid, either here in this meeting or in the past. He's our security expert on staff now and has been pretty busy, as you can see, also working with Craig, the APNIC legal counsel, on different security meetings and outreach and training and so forth. And APNIC Labs continues to churn out enormous amounts of data. Jeff is now featuring on the APNIC blog as well as on the Labs website, where he often publishes reports that go around the world and create a bit of a stir. But working on those same areas of IPv4 routing table analysis, IPv6 deployment analysis, DNSSEC in particular, and BGP routing table analysis. The ISIF Asia program is something that APNIC both participates in as a partner and supporter, and also as the administrative centre for this program in the Asia Pacific. And we receive funding from the IDRC, International Development Research Centre, for that. We processed 12 grants out of 139 applications for grants. We we saw 5 projects awarded with a special prize this year as well. And you can see a whole range of developing economies in the region where these projects are located. Now I'll move on finally to the aspects of APNIC's collaboration more widely. I think if we put together all of the cooperation and outreach that we do around the region and the world, you'll see a pretty active year that we've had. This one shows more broadly how we've been involved with a lot of IPv6 advocacy, with engagement outside of the region on law enforcement agencies who are, as you know, very interested to use the APNIC database and the associated services to understand how they work, what you can and can't do, for instance, with who is queries. And we're getting a lot of demand for that kind of information to be provided. There's the IANA stewardship transition, which has also involved a few engagements, meetings around that issue, and other coordinations with other RIRs and internet organisations. The IANA stewardship transition is something that we spoke about in the session this week, and we'll hear some more about today. But there's a timeline here of a whole raft of activities which have been tied up with that very important process. APNIC, like the other RIRs, is absolutely dependent on IANA for the services that it offers. We hope that this transition will be successful and will achieve the independence of IANA from its current arrangements with the US government, which I believe there's a consensus that this is a good and necessary thing. So hopefully once this long process is over, we won't need to worry so much about it. But just for the time being, there really is quite a lot of process involved and quite a lot to be done in order to make that happen smoothly. So as I said, if you put together all of the training, the NOG events, the APNIC events, the IPv6 and security and cooperation events, there really is quite a footprint that APNIC makes here in the region, and in some cases more widely as well. And there's a good illustration there of what that looks like. Another thing that you've heard about this week is the latest APNIC survey, the 2014 survey, which was not the biggest, but it was probably the most positive survey response that we've had. I'd like to thank John Earls, who's here with us, for once again helping to shepherd that whole process through with APNIC staff and also with the independent consultants at the Singapore Internet Research Centre who do the final analysis and ensure the anonymity of the whole process. We held focus groups in a record 17 different economies, and that's a process of finding out what are the primary concerns of our members and the wider community at this particular time. So based on the focus groups, we develop the survey questionnaire itself. We had 1,039 responses. As I said, not the largest number. We had a few hundred more last time, but we did have, I think, a respectable response and also a very positive response. So a result of 6.15 out of 7 on the assessment of quality of service, and a little lower on value for money on services and membership. We had responses from 56 economies, and once again there's a very comprehensive report that's available on that URL that's illustrated there, www.apnic.net/survey. And you can also see all of the past surveys there if you're interested in seeing the history. Now, I think communication is something that we spend a lot of our time doing. We have put a lot of effort into improving our communications mechanisms over the last year in particular. Tony Smith has joined us as Communications Director and has really shepherded through some very important improvements to our systems. That, of course, is with his team, and I'm seeing Badrika sitting down there with Tony. The website has been redesigned. That's an attempt to make it both more pleasing but more navigable as well. But I think more important, the content is being advanced in a way that is hopefully useful and interesting to you, and in particular the APNIC blog has regular articles which now explain much more clearly, I hope, the activities and issues that we're facing at the moment. So in particular, the event wrap reports give an account of APNIC's involvement in activities that we, particularly in events that we participate in. So if you're interested in the IGF, in ICANN meetings, in what we might be doing, for instance, when we go to an RIR meeting, then you can find all of that information on the blog. We also on the blog have service announcements. We have guest posts from other collaborators in the industry about interesting associated topics. We've got Jeff's postings and similar things. And I think since this was launched in June, we've had something over 70 posts to the blog. So every day or two, you'll find something new and I hope interesting on the APNIC blog. The social media that everyone, I think, is doing these days is something that we're trying to be quite active in and again get information out more widely and more regularly. We're doing video presentations, including information and interviews that are also available on the website. And I think, or I hope, that all of these developments are actually making APNIC more accessible and more transparent to you. And again, I think if you have any suggestions or questions of any kind, then we'd be very welcome to hear those as well. Finally, the next meeting after this one ends today will be Apricot 2015. So we will start getting ready for APNIC 39 in Fukuoka in Japan, in conjunction with APNIC, with Apricot 2015, and also for the second time in conjunction with APAN 39 as well. So the Asia Pacific Advanced Network has regular meetings. They're the Regional Academic Network Consortium, and we had our first Apricot co-located with APAN back in Hong Kong, and it's going to happen probably every 3 years from now on, and that seems to be a very nice way to bring our communities together and get more value out of the gatherings that we have. And that's all from me. I'm very happy to hear your questions. You'll hear more in a few minutes, of course, from the APNIC EC about EC activities, but I really hope that if anything here is of interest, or if anything's unclear, then please feel free to use the mics and let us know. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Paul. Then we have plenty of time for you to question or comment on the Secretariat report. All right, Kobu.
I don't know this is the right time to raise the issue or not, but I try.
State your name, please.
This is Guo Wei-Wu from Taiwan. And I don't know this is the right time or not to raise the question, but somehow I'd like to raise that what my feeling for the long run in the APNIC, eventually in the in the futures. I think all the IR, I think sooner or later we all eventually will face the situations. We might be not so much active in the policy discussion anymore because since IPv4 is a depletion, and I think IPv6 policy would be not as sophisticated or complex as IPv4. So maybe in the future, the APNIC meeting, we are not going to have a lot of policy in discussions. So for example, the policy in this time in Brisbane, I think we only have one policy in discussions. And I don't know in the future how many policy will be raised in the APNIC meetings. So I think we might be, it's a time to think about what is a core, the topic for the APNIC meeting to development. If not much policy we need to talk, then we need to talk thinking about what kind of topic is really benefit to the APNIC member. I think if the member came here and, in the past, the people came here to argue and discuss the policy impact to their business. If this is not going to happen, then we have to seriously thinking about what is the reason for the APNIC member come to the APNIC meeting. And so I think this is one of the issue we have to think as soon as possible. So this is the first question I'd like to raise that to all of you. And I think the second issue I'd like to talk about that is, I know no matter the Apricot or APNIC meetings, actually the APTLD meeting is running in the same locations. But to be honest, that is almost like two independent meetings. Very little engage or discussion or merging together to talking about that. Does that mean there is the APTLD and the APNIC, we don't have a common issue to discuss? I don't think so. But I think we didn't work hard enough to figure out, could we have a common issue? We should talk, since the APTLD member is here. And of course, it's not only the APNIC. Maybe the APTLD need to think about it, the same problems. I think there is so many of those common issues actually the APTLD and the APNIC member can join and to discuss. Because somehow we all working, for example, like DNS, root server. We also talking about DNSSEC. I think we have so many common topics we can talk. But unfortunately, I think the APNIC, APTOD, I was there for several times. I think they continue talking about their policy sharing, experience sharing. But to be honest, the APTOD basically is the CCTOD registry. They are almost running independence. You know, my policy in Taiwan is not related to, well, maybe you can do some experience sharing, but who cares, you know? And so, in APNIC, of course, in here, most of us is technical peoples. You know, we have more technical people here, but in the APTOD, basically, is the name registry managers. But that doesn't mean the name registry, they don't have an engineer. They do have an engineer. They need to implement the DNSSEC. They need to implement the DNS. And that is that's common issue. I think in the long run, since we are holding the meeting in the same location, we should try to develop in the common issue to talk and to share and to work together. I think this is I'm looking. I don't know who should start to put out your hand to shake hands with another parties, but somehow this is something we need to work it on. The number 3, I like to raise the similar questions. Because the APTOD basically, as I say, is a CCTOD. They actually kind of it's not negative meaning, don't confuse. Basically the CCTOD in each country is kind of the monopoly, a single name registry in their countries. But I think from the next year, you will see maybe more than 1,000 of the new GTOD registry coming out. In the past, maybe that doesn't care in the Asia Pacific region because except the CCTOD, we only have one name registry in Asia Pacific, is .Asia. But next year, I look at the application, I think that more than 200 of the new registry will be happen in Asia Pacific regions. And if we need to develop in the similar common topic to talking with APTOD registry managers, it will be the same thing. We have the same common issue we can talk to the new GTOD registries. And another part, I think, is also the number 4, I like to raise that, is around the domain name registrar. I think in this area, many people know that many of the major or big name registrar, they actually also is a web hosting company. They not only sell the name, they actually doing the hosting. So many of them actually is a member of the IR. And so eventually, I think, hopefully we'll see very soon some of the registrar will be moving in this area. So we have a common issue we can talk about. So I just thinking about that is in the long run, maybe we need to have some strategy to think about it, not only, because in the past many years, more than 15 years, we always are working on the IP or ASN, the policy discussions. But since the policy is not that many to go, so it might be it's time let us think further or deeply what we're going to do in the future in the next 5 years, next 10 years. Okay, so I think that's my comment. Of course, it really depends on the APNIC member and also depends on the APNIC EC what you're making the decision or strategy. I think that is some kind of long-term strategy we need to working on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kobo. Okay, that's really, good. Good to have your list of the concern. Then I think they are all valid for our business. I'd like to have some EC members to take on this, take on this comment to respond. Okay.
Just to add a few words, Kenny Huang. And basically, we already have a MOU between APTRD and APNIC, so probably the other member can address about this. And next year, there will be a joint meeting between APNIC, APEN, and APRICA. So I believe the APRICA Program Committee already working on that sort of cooperation between APNIC, APEN, and APRICA. So probably we're going to see a more collaboration opportunity next year in Fukuoka. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
Can I say another thing to share some more information for you? Actually, early of last year, when the ICANN board have a retreat meetings, actually I raised the issue I'd like to share with the APNIC EC, also the member in here. Last year, when the ICANN board, we're talking about a strategy, how we can do in the regional. And I raised my comment, and I think eventually the board and also the senior executive in the ICANN, we all agree. What's that mean? That mean basically in the regional ICANN, we are not going to take a lease. We are not going to have an independent meeting or events, because that doesn't make sense. If we look at the schedule for ICANN, RR, or APTOD or whatever, we almost have a meeting every month. Doesn't make sense. We're going to compete. So the board agree, and also the senior executive agree. In regional, we like to go with, for example, APNIC RIVE and CCRN. I think we are more than happy to support you. And you are going to take a lead, and we just join you. But I think somehow we need to think about how to make this really happen, because this is we should looking about the positive and healthy development for both, for ICANN and also the IR. I think that is I'd like to share the information to you. Basically, with Ray and me in the ICANN board, we try to make the number and name really in harmony, because we are friends. We are actually a partner together. We are not compete. So also, I'd like to share with you that, if we have a possible development, we like to let you run the APNIC meeting, and then ICANN will bring our registrar to participate, and how to work on the program together. So I think this is just information to share with you, and also the APNIC member here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kobo. Gaurav?
Actually, I think, thank you, Kue, with very good points. Can we encourage more discussion on this during the open mic? Because I think we'll run out of time if we start discussing this now.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we can, I would suggest that when we come for the open mic, I do have some ideas, and I'm pretty sure other guys also have some ideas about it. So probably put it for their chair.
Right. Yeah, not only from the Executive Council, it is very good to have this discussion, because we have some more time in the morning first session. If you, any of you from the APNIC membership, have any idea how the APNIC should work in future in a more complex situation, please don't hesitate to go up to the microphone to say, to let us have your opinion. and as well as other EC members, you are very free to take on mic.
Thanks. I'll just point out that at this meeting we've decided as an EC to really reevaluate the structure of this standalone APNIC meeting. There's nothing firm that has come from that, so I think this feedback is very timely. And as Akinori says, as we begin to look forward to the next coming meetings, standalone meetings, we are really reviewing that structure and what they consist of and how they work, and potentially whether they work with other meetings. So yeah, I'd echo that comment. If anyone has feedback about the quality of the program, the focus of the program, combined events, please do make those comments.
Yeah, I will make some comment. Yep, that's the cause point is really good, and we actually are discussing for the further collaboration with other AP something organization, and you've already seen that we're having the APTLD meeting quite in conjunction with the APNIC meeting, and we had AP CERT session here in Brisbane. So that kind of the collaboration is quite indispensable for our business. Then I believe that all of these organizations have its own benefit when they successfully collaborate with other organizations. So that is actually one of the major thing we need to work on. Then you suggested with some collaboration with the Race 3 and the Race 4, and that's really true. Of course, you are the board member for ICANN, as you know that ICANN is already instrumented the Asia Pac hub, and we have the strong Asia Pac team. And then this is very good news for the APNIC to collaborate with ICANN in the context of the Asia Pacific region. So I think we will see more and more collaboration between APNIC and ICANN, which I am really looking forward to. Any other comments? Paul, if you, nothing? Then okay. So if you have any idea, I'm very happy to see, very happy to hear your opinion. All right. Ah, okay. No, that's.
Saying if you have feedback post this meeting, there is a mechanism to contact the EC on the EC website. So if you would like to provide that feedback, please do at any stage after this meeting.
Thank you. Tani?
Chair, I just got one comment to make regarding this conference, especially this conference here in Brisbane. Usually we have APTLD meetings during the workshop week, but this is the first conference where we had APTLD meeting during the conference week, so the APTLD members can get more advantage in attending the conference sessions. So I just want to make that point to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the clarification. Okay. All right. We will have the other open mic time slots for the coming session. So please, if you later find some something to tell us, then please go up to the microphone. All right. I think we should move it forward. Then we can actually do the planned agenda is already done very efficiently in the morning first session. Then I'd like to move it forward to the content planned for the second session. Then the second session is begin with the treasurer report, and I'd like to check if our treasurer is quite ready for do that. You? Okay. All right. Go on, James. So our treasurer, James Spencer, will deliver the treasury report. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Akinori. So if I go to the slides. Yeah. I'm familiar with the numbers, but I can't quite do them off by heart. Great. So this is the half-year report for APNIC Finances. As you may be aware, APNIC has a calendar year financial year. So this is the finances to June 30, so 6 months of APNIC's financial year. The highlights here is revenue line at the top there. Revenue for the budget for 2014 was 18,094,000. Forecast revenue, so the revised version of that budget number as at June 30 for the full 12 months is expected to be 18.4 million. The expenses line budget was $16.12 million, and we now expect the revised forecast to be just over 16 million, so about 1% under budget. As a result, surplus, given that where revenue is higher and expenses were lower, the surplus has increased. We originally budgeted for just under a $2 million surplus. That surplus is now expected to be 2.4 million, so about a 24% increase in the budgeted surplus. Capital expenditure is down. Most of that is due to timing, so we would expect that to be closer, if not used up in the new financial year. Number of members has increased from 4,531, which we budgeted, and we now expect a budget of 4,667, so a 3% increase in number of members. So the growth is really, in revenue really comes from membership fees. That is the largest category by far, by an order of magnitude. So we saw a budget of 15.6 million in membership fees, and we now expect that to be 15.9 for the full year. So a 2% increase, but a 2% increase on a very large number compared with the other categories. The IP resource application fee is up 11%, but it accounts for only really $100,000 increase. As you can see, membership growth continues and is very strong. Obviously, most of the growth is coming from the lower classes, the smaller classes, from associate to, maybe not the lower classes, politically incorrect there. We value all members equally, I'll just point that out. From the smaller classes, so obviously associate, very small and small, very difficult to grow in medium, large and very large members, as new members can only get now up to a /21. So there's some expenses detail here. Professional fees is down 10%. There's some capitalisation. We've reduced our audit costs as we've changed auditors and reduced some financial advisory costs there. So we're managing costs at the professional fees level very well. The ICANN contract in the middle there is up 18%, and that's really just changes to the cost sharing between the various RIRs. If you do remember a couple of years back, that was the formula for calculating that was skewed very much in APNIC's favour, which was great for us financially, but not necessarily. We were paying our fair share of the NRO fees. So that's now broadly in line and an 18% increase, but again, from a very small number. Sponsorship and publicity, again, up in a very small amount, 10% on a small base. But overall, the costs are being kept broadly within line and budget at around about 16 million. Balance sheet, look, this is obviously just a result of the major movements are from cash into investments as we convert more of our idle cash funds into the Credit Suisse account that we set up this time last year for better use of those funds rather than having them sit earning very little interest in the bank. We have them in a very carefully thought out and low risk, low volatility portfolio. So a lot of those shifts are from cash into financial assets. And the other big shift on the balance sheet is obviously the expected increase of the surplus, adding to equity of the overall business. This is a slide we show at every meeting. It really demonstrates exactly where our reserves are compared with our operating costs. So the green line is our operating costs. You can see an increase in operating costs forecast for 2014, but the surplus again has increased significantly to 2014, to the end of 2014. The property, the purple section, is the APNIC building. That is still kept on our books at cost of acquisition, but we do feel, and we have evidence in the area, that that building is now appreciated significantly in value, given the strength of the Australian property market and the area that was picked. And that was a great job done by the Secretariat and the EC, I think, in selecting that location. So that area of Brisbane is an up-and-coming area, and that should be a fantastic asset or investment asset over the long term. You'll see a big shift from cash in the blue to financial assets. As I said this time last year, we engaged Credit Suisse to manage our spare cash. So that's really the shift away from cash into financial assets. That's a very diversified portfolio and one that has performed particularly well given its low risk bias. Priorities for the second half is obviously to review the 2014 forecast. We're undertaking a significant review of membership fees. This will probably be the biggest news of the Treasurer report. We have reached the point where we think the surpluses are getting large enough now that we need to relook at membership fees. With a $2.5 million surplus every year, we feel that there's an opportunity now to potentially reduce member fees. So the APNIC EC is down the process of reviewing that. Also talking about implementation timelines and implementation groups and planning. So you'll see something more about that at the coming meetings and announced along the way. Obviously, this time of year we start to look forward. 2015 is only just around the corner, so we are beginning now our activity plan and budgeting, and I have some exciting updates there just around the way that we will be presenting a budget and the way that we'll be presenting our financial reporting to you in the future. I think this came from a meeting 6 months ago where there was a fair bit of comment around transparency of where APNIC is spending its money. And if you look at the Treasurer's report historically, we've focused very much on the financials. How much revenue do we have in each category, and how much cost do we have in each category. Very little effort or very little focus has been on understanding how those costs equate to what it is that APNIC does, whether it be registry, whether it be member services, whether it be outreach. So we've had a very good look at the way other RIRs report. We've taken a lot of input from RIPE and met with RIPE in terms of the way that they report, and we've modelled a lot of our ongoing reporting on RIPE's activity-based reporting. So from now on, and certainly starting at the APRICOT meeting in Fukuoka, we'll be allocating all of our expenses, be they headcount, be they operating expenses or capital expenditure, by activity. So that will mean you'll get a much greater transparency of not just the profit and loss of the business, but how we actually are spending our money. So this is, again, based on member feedback. We've put a huge amount of work into really increasing the transparency of our reporting. So we haven't done this backwards. Obviously, 2014 budget was set back in 2013. So you won't see today's report taking what is our 2014 budget and fitting it into those activity reports. All our work to date has been done on setting this up for the 2015 budget, so starting from January 1, 2015, and making sure that we get the most accurate and useful activities that we can report on for the members. So in terms of those activities, we've broken down, and I'll start say that this is actually a balancing act. You could go down to have hundreds and hundreds of activities, or you could probably have 2 or 3. Really, hundreds and hundreds of activities becomes pretty inaccurate because people will, there'll be too many options to assign assign costs to activity codes. So what we've really done is we've broken it down into 4 core activities that we see is supporting APNIC. So the first one is obviously serving our members, and activity subcodes within that activity will be IP registration, so core business for APNIC, customer service, technical infrastructure, and member training. So you get a breakdown of how many full-time employees based or full-time employee equivalents are based in each of those subcategories. The next major category is regional development and outreach. This is again taken from the member survey. This is the things that you, the members, tell us you want us focused on. So regional development and outreach. So that is obviously APNIC conferences, this event. Regional technical development, regional community engagement. So that's really promoting APNIC, promoting IPv6, promoting training across the region, but not specifically related to member requirements. So I think that's an important breakdown, so you can see where the money is being spent based on servicing the members and where the money is being spent on outreach into the community, either promoting APNIC, promoting training and development, or promoting good internet governance or awareness. Then we break it down into a third category, and I think this again came out of comments from the last meeting. The third category is global collaboration. So this could be a technical community as the first category, governance, which is the broader sort of ITU, Internet Governance Forum, and then global research. We think that they're the three major categories that the members would like us to report on, but also critically the members would like us to be involved in. And the fourth bucket that we're putting costs and assigning costs to is corporate. So obviously we've covered serving the members, we've covered developing the region, and we've covered global outreach and the technical community globally, but we still have to run the core business that is APNIC. So the corporate structure really is human resources management. So that's our HR staff, management time versus people actually doing the work, so to speak, spoken as a manager. Finance administration costs, the finance staff to send the bills, collect the payments, manage our investments, legal and governance, Craig's time to help us from a legal perspective, the EC's cost in terms of travel for events, and then of course facilities. You've got the office, you've got the costs of actually just housing all the people. So we're pretty excited by this. Richard and I have put a fair bit of work into, and Sanjaya have put a fair bit of work into making this simple, making it exactly what we think is APNIC and matching up against what the members have told us, what you have told us through the membership survey. So we're pretty excited by this. We'll be reporting for the first time our budget in Fukuoka based on activity codes rather than just a high-level sort of profit and loss and balance sheet. And I think that'll be much more meaningful to you, the members. That's the end of the Treasurer's report. I'm happy to go to questions now. Questions or comments?
This is Masato Yamanishi working for SoftBank BB. I have two comments and one question about this financial report. The first comment is, even though I and other members had asked a breakdown of budget and human resource spending for each activity, especially for global collaboration, actual numbers was not shown in this meeting. Is not shown in this meeting. So I'm quite disappointed at that point. Okay. Then I think the answer for our question, answer from EC is activity reporting. But my second comment is for this activity reporting. I think these code or breakdown should be used for planning also, planning for next year, not only reporting. That's my second comment. And question is, I cannot understand why it takes so long time to execute this activity report. You said, I think you said it will be start from the next year, but I think it should be started within this year as soon as possible.
I appreciate the feedback. I think it's very easy from the outside to say, look, it should be started, from today. APNIC is a larger organisation today. We have 60 staff. We turn over $20 million. We have existing systems for reporting and categorising all of our costs. All of those systems and processes and budgets need to be changed. This is all at a time that we are actually now preparing our next year's budget. So really it's a balancing act. We could absolutely have changed and reported today more detail on the activity costings, but they wouldn't be as accurate or representative as if we had set the budget from the activity-based costing from day one. So it was really about two things, was accuracy, to make sure that we actually start with correct numbers so that as we go through the years, we can see trends, we can see changes. If we were to try and take a square, which is our historical budget, and put it into a circle, which is this activity-based budget, the numbers are never going to line up perfectly. So look, from my perspective, this is really about balancing the resources that we have in the financial team and doing the job correctly. I wouldn't want to rush this and bring you something which would then have a very large change to next year and then have to explain what the difference is in the change and why that is there. I'd much prefer to get this right from day one, but your comments are taken on. Some of these things with the limited resources that we have just take time to implement.
Oh, I can understand it takes quite a long time to link with budget, but just reporting, I don't think it takes a long time.
Look, I'm very happy to bring you into the APNIC offices and show you how much work went into this. This is not something that we have just rushed into. We have breakdown of costs, but we don't have breakdown of costs into activities to date. What we're doing is we're creating the framework so that every future cost gets captured and assigned to cost activities going forward. Now, we spent more time trying to come up with, and that is a very simple list of cost-based activities, but we spent a huge amount of time making sure that we came up with the right categories that was easily trackable within APNIC so that we could actually get an accurate piece of information. So again, we've put more focus and time on getting this right than rushing out reporting. And I apologise, obviously you wanted to see numbers today, but as Treasurer and with the resources we have in the Finance Department, I felt it was better to get the system right and implement from the start of a new year rather than try and pull costs out and assign them. That would be a very manual and unscientific way to do that.
Again, I cannot understand why. Because you said APNIC is a large organization, but from number of employee perspective, it's not. Okay, for example, my company has more than 10,000 employees, and I think it can be executable within 3 months.
It's all a balance of resources. APNIC has a finite amount of finance staff. It's a trade-off. They're all very busy in their day-to-day jobs. At this time of year, we're very focused on creating a budget for next year, in time for next year. It's all a trade-off. We could pull people off doing other things to do that, but as I say, the priority for me was getting a system that is right, a system that is easily for the staff to implement. The accuracy of this is going to be down to how easy it is for a staff member to understand what they're doing and applying that to an activity. So again, look, we don't have unlimited resources. We could have gone and hired people or consultants to come in and do this, or we could have taken people off projects like budget, projects like the systems needed to provide this level of reporting. It's just all a balance.
I think it doesn't need to provide exact number from day one, 100% correct number. We don't need, I think. So I hope you will start this reporting as soon as possible, and also from next year, I hope this breakdown will be used for planning from next year.
Absolutely. This breakdown is used for planning. I would strongly disagree with you that it does need to be accurate. This is finances we're talking about. I think as a technical member of the community, nothing you would like to do should be inaccurate or less than accurate, but specifically around finances, this is something that if we did something today that was not correct, we would be having huge amounts of conversations and problems in future years, for the differences. Why did this cost go up? Why did this cost go down? We need to get it right from day one.
No, I'm saying yeah. If this breakdown will be reflected to budget or any financial data, it should be 100% accurate. But I'm asking about starting this reporting as a pilot project. Otherwise, I'm very sorry to say that. I think currently APNIC staff doesn't aware these kind of categories. I'm afraid that.
Isn't aware of, sorry?
I'm afraid that APNIC staff, each APNIC staff doesn't consider well about this kind of breakdown.
Look, I think to your point, if it would have been inaccurate to go and take historical costs and then try and fit them into categories arbitrarily to give you a report today. We could have done that, but it would have been inaccurate. So what we're investing our time in doing is coming up with simple categories. If you could show the categories, that might be really useful again. We spent hours, I did 2 trips up to Brisbane to come up with these 4 categories. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but reducing this to a level that people can understand was our priority. So if we go to the level of categories here, and this is something I'm actually really proud of because I think this is exactly what you, the members, really asked for. And you're right, I think you've made the point better than I can, which is unless we take our time to implement this, train the staff on how to allocate the costs, communicate that to the staff, they're just going to put costs in the wrong buckets. So we have gone through a large amount of science. There's ways for managers to apportion their time to different parts of that. Given management isn't necessarily part of serving members, but part of a manager's job will be interacting with members. So we have a theory of how to apply these costs. That's now being communicated to staff. So again, we'll have an accurate representation. Look, I hear your disappointment. I really take that on board. I think we've probably debated this enough. I'm sorry that we couldn't present you the numbers today, but I know that we're heading in the right direction. We'll have accurate numbers for you next year. And a process that's been full of diligence.
Okay.
Hi, Aftab Siddiqui, Sabinet. I'm just trying to recall why I came here, because I was standing here for so long. Anyway, so I just like to thank APNIC EC that they have decided to review the membership fee. It was one of the major concerns in our part of the world. So I just want to know what are the timelines, how it's going to work, because last time when the membership fee was increased, a third party was involved. So how it's going to be, it's going to be the same thing, or what's the timeline basically, and how it's going to work? Thank you.
Great question. Look, we're part the way through this process on membership fees now. We have what we think is a model that works. We really just need to hear from the finance staff the effects of implementing that. So I think that the process is very far down the track. We haven't involved a third party this time, as the changes aren't significant. We're not talking about a complete shift in the way that we bill or the way that we calculate charges. It's really an adjustment of the bit fee and the factors that are used to calculate the fees. So from that perspective, we haven't needed to use an external party. We're very comfortable with the results that we're getting. We do need to marry that up against next year's budget, and we do need to understand the time it will take the finance department to implement that. That's probably the biggest part that we're still working on. So in terms of timeframes, you would see an announcement from us towards the end of this year. And that will be probably around the same time as our next face-to-face EC meeting in late November. But it certainly has a bit of... Look, 2 things that came out of member feedback from last year was questions around the cost for certain regions to join APNIC, the size of the surplus, and the third thing, the transparency around activities, how much money we spend in what areas. So I think that we've taken all of those comments on board. It's taken us a little bit of time. These things, I'm a volunteer, I have a day job, we have limited staff, but we have made significant progress, and you will see that start with effect from next year. Any further comments, questions? No? Thanks very much, and I look forward... Oh, sorry, got one more? No?
All right, thank you.
Look forward to presenting you the new format report in Fukuoka. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, James. And all right, we completed until the treasury report. So we will resume in our session for the morning second session, beginning with my report from the Executive Council. So this is the end of the morning first session. It is 9:25, but no, sorry, 9:25 in Japan time. And we will have the coffee break, morning tea break, and we will get back as planned at it makes 11, right? Okay, 11 a.m. Thank you very much.